You're watching 7 Action News, always taking action for you.
More than $1.1 million. That's how much the taxpayers paid for the defense teams in the Kilpatrick corruption case.
7 Action News investigator Heather Cataldo joins us right now here in the studio. And Heather, it sounds like this number is going to rise.
That's right, it is, because there is still more work to be done by these court-appointed lawyers. We know the Fed spent nearly a decade investigating and preparing the prosecution of this case, and now we're getting a look at how much money, more than $1 million, that the defense teams are getting paid.
This is the fight of my life.
The fight of Kwame Kilpatrick's life cost the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the former mayor alone, legal bills to date for his federal corruption trial total more than $813,000. That figure includes the fees for 5 different court-appointed lawyers, plus an accountant, an investigator, and a jury consultant. The biggest expenses for Kilpatrick, lead counsel Jim Thomas billed the court for more than $429,000. Kilpatrick's father, Bernard, also needed a court-appointed lawyer. His legal fees total more than $352,000. That includes his attorney's time, plus fees for an investigator and paralegal services. Lead lawyer John Shea received more than $224,000. Last March, a jury found Detroit's former mayor and his friend, Bobby Ferguson, guilty of racketeering, bribery, and other crimes. Ferguson paid for his own legal team. The jury was hung on whether Bernard Kilpatrick was part of the criminal enterprise the feds say the mayor ran out of City Hall. He was only convicted of a tax crime. The fees for the court-appointed lawyers are expected to grow. Kwame Kilpatrick's appeal still needs to get underway. And remember Victor Mercado? The ex-Water Department director took a guilty plea partway through the 5-month corruption trial. His lawyers are taxpayer-funded as well, and the judge won't release those totals until after he's sentenced.
Our system is such that we have to make sure that everyone receives the benefit of counsel.
While the numbers seem high, 7 Action News legal analyst Tom Cranmer says keep in mind the huge amount of work all of the lawyers had to do.
All of the lawyers in this case that were court appointed actually do work privately as well, and the rate they ordinarily would charge their clients would probably be 3 or 4 times the amount that they actually receive as court appointed lawyers.
For court-appointed work in federal court, the standard rate for a lawyer is $125 an hour. If you factor that hourly rate into these numbers, you get a sense of how many hours they put into this case. We're talking thousands and thousands of hours at that rate.
So that's what taxpayers paid for the defense. What did taxpayers pay for the prosecution?
Quite a bit. Federal prosecutors say that's really hard to calculate. They don't track those kinds of costs because their attorneys and staff get paid regardless of what case they're working on. For the Kilpatrick case, they did not authorize any overtime pay. They also point out the taxpayers recovered more than $7 million from the defendants in some of the forfeitures. So probably in their minds, this case has paid for itself. They got $7 million back, but they also had about 5 to 6 years of a head start before the defense. So a lot of hours on both sides went into this.
And a lot of money.